Hey, bud, it's getting cold up here in northern Vermont.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't seem like the best time of the year for a hike in the woods in Maidstone, Jeff.
Yeah, I get that, Ray, but with winter closing in, all the leaves are down, there's snow on the ground, and I figure this is our best chance to track a monster.
A monster?
Yeah.
All right, what are we looking for?
Okay, so today we're on the hunt for a giant hairy beast. He walks on two legs, and though many have tried to hunt him or trap him, no one has nabbed him yet.
Well, you sure he's real and not a ghost?
To be honest, I guess we're not sure, but today we're hunting for old Slipperyskin. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger.
And I'm Ray Auger. Welcome to episode 120 of the New England Legends podcast. If you give us about 10 minutes, we'll give you something strange to talk about today.
Thank you all for joining us on our mission to chronicle every legend in New England, and we're doing that through our weekly podcast, 120 weeks so far. We haven't missed one. Through our television series on PBS and Amazon Prime. Prime members, you can go watch it right now. And through our website, ournewenglandlegends.com, where we're gathering hundreds of these strange but true bits of history, legend, and lore.
And we can't do it without the help and support from our Patreon patrons who are sponsoring this week's episode. If you go to patreon.com/New England Legends for as little as $3 per month, you'll get early access to new episodes, plus bonus episodes that you can't hear anywhere else.
So true. Okay, Ray, are you ready to face the cold of Vermont's Northeastern Kingdom and track down a beast?
No, I'm as ready as I'll ever be, Jeff. So could this thing be a bear?
That's possible. Now, bears do walk on their hind legs, but typically not very far or for very long. But if we're to believe the newspaper accounts from the Gazetter of Vermont Heritage, this creature does things no bear can do. And he terrorized not just Maidstone, but the entire region of Essex County, Vermont.
Then let's grab our hunting muskets and head back to the mid-1700s to set this up. It's 1759 here in northeastern Vermont. The region is a wooded frontier filled with bears and deer, Indians, and a few settlers, all trying to make a life for themselves.
It takes a special kind of person to face life like this. The type of person who doesn't mind discomfort, right? I mean, someone handy with a rifle, someone who knows the animals and critters of the area.
That's true. If you can't handle the elements, you won't make it up here very long.
Now, something else is happening in the region right now, and that's the French and Indian War. The British colonies are at war with New France in the north and their American Indian allies. New France is greatly outnumbered, and this is all about establishing territory.
Which is why British Major Robert Rogers is sending some of his Rogers Rangers up to this remote area of Vermont. He wants to make sure the British colonies lay claim to all the land that they can. It's during this 1759 expedition to the area that the Rangers encounter a bear. But no ordinary bear. This one seems bent on making his presence known to his human intruders. One of the scouts writes in his journal,
"Our days and nights found us annoyed, for not reasons, by a large black bear who would throw large pine cones and nuts down upon us."
Now, that doesn't sound like something a bear would do.
No, it doesn't. Bears tend to attack if they feel threatened, or they usually run off if given the chance, because generally a fight with humans isn't worth the trouble.
No, it's not.
But annoying people with pine cones and nuts, that's different.
Now, as you can imagine, the scouts talk about this strange bear with other people they encounter. The men from Rogers Rangers soon learn they're not the only ones to have had a run-in with this creature.
The Indians also know him, being also disgusted by the beast. They call him Weechek, or wet skin.
Wet skin, because every time they set a trap for him or try to shoot him with an arrow, the bear gives them the slip.
As decades pass, the legend of Slipperyskin only grows. By the early 1800s, this region of Vermont is growing in population. Though it's still very much a frontier, some farms and communities are popping up, and Slipperyskin is there to make problems.
What kind of problems?
Well, Slipperyskin is known to fill maple sap-gathering buckets with rocks.
Okay.
He'll sneak onto farms and kick over manure piles.
Ew.
He'll pick up rocks and toss them into farm machines.
What a pest. But again, that doesn't sound like anything a bear would do.
Well, some local farmers look out their windows and catch Slipperyskin in the act. They say he walks on his hind legs.
As you can imagine, when you mess with a person's livelihood, there's going to be some problems. So some of these settlers and farmers fancy themselves expert huntsmen. So they turn the tables to track down the beast. Some even find him in the woods. They even get a shot off. But they miss. They always miss. It's as if Slipperyskin knows when the shot is going to be fired, and he vanishes from sight.
Another account explains how an expert tracker followed Slipperyskin's tracks through the snow and discovered the beast walking backwards in his own paw prints in order to backtrack and throw off the pursuer.
Wow. Okay, it's now 1813, and word of Slipperyskin has made it all the way to Vermont Governor Jonas Galusha's desk. Galusha sees himself as a solver of problems.
And Slipperyskin is just another problem he can solve.
He also sees himself as an expert hunter, and he figures if he can't hunt down Slipperyskin, then no one can.
All right. I feel like I need to point something out here.
Okay.
Well, the first sighting of Slipperyskin was 1759, right?
That's the first sighting by a British soldier, but according to the report, the Indians already knew about the beast and had a name for him.
Okay, fine. So Slipperyskin could be at least a few years older than 1759.
That's fair.
Right now it's 1813. That makes Slipperyskin over 50 years old at this point.
I've double-checked your math, and yes, you're right.
So I checked, and it turns out black bears live up to 30 years in the wild, but the average is more like the low 20s.
So you're saying this isn't a black bear?
Well, if we're talking about one animal, then no. I think we rule out the black bear. This is something different.
So Governor Galusha views Slipperyskin as an opportunity to maybe win some rural votes. If he can bag the beast, it'll make him a folk hero.
Out of my way, boys.
The governor cries out to the hunting party.
I'm bringing him back alive.
But Governor Galusha also comes back empty-handed. And he loses his bid for re-election this year.
So are you suggesting there's a connection between missing Slipperyskin and not getting reelected?
I'm not saying there isn't.
Stories of Slipperyskin continue over the next few years, and the tales of what this creature will do to humans grow only taller. There's stories of him throwing tree trunks at hunters.
I read one where Slipperyskin would squeeze the sap out of a maple tree, only to throw it at anyone he found tracking him.
Legends have a way of growing in scale, don't they?
They do.
By this time, no one really thinks of Slipperyskin as a black bear anymore. By the mid-1800s, they call him half man, half bear. Some kind of nightmare creature who defies the laws of man and the laws of God.
So is he ever captured or killed?
No, people eventually stop talking about him. And that brings us back to today.
All right, I love this story, but I can't help but think of another creature, something maybe more familiar.
Like Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Walks on his hind legs, hairy. It does things like place rocks in buckets that would require the dexterity of a primate at the very least.
Maybe.
So I checked the etymology of the word Bigfoot, and it was first used in 1958. So the actual term isn't that old.
But descriptions of the creature go way back before 1958.
Yeah, that they do. So maybe this comes down to labels. I mean, one man's Bigfoot is another man's Slipperyskin.
It could be. So why come out here to Maidstone, Vermont now? If the sighting stopped in the mid-1800s, it's a cold case.
Yeah, that's the thing, Ray, but there are still Bigfoot sightings in this region, and it makes you wonder, if we did see some strange tracks, could it be some descendant of Slipperyskin?
Of all the creatures and cryptids we've ever chased, Bigfoot does seem the most elusive.
Right, there have been many witnesses over the centuries, but somehow this giant hairy beast always gives us the slip.
I get it. Slipperyskin. And we're back.
We are, and we'd like to remind you, legendary listeners, that we're all in this together. If you've got a New England story for us to check out, tell us about it. Contact us through social media, through our website at ournewenglandlegends.com, or call or text our legend line anytime at 617-444-9683. You can also leave our show closing on our voicemail if you want to hear yourself on a future episode of the podcast.
We'd like to thank Michael Legge for lending his voice acting talents this week. And as always, our theme music is by John Judd.
Hey guys, this is Patrick from Chicago, and doing a wonderful job. Just wanted to let you guys know, until next time, remember, the bazaar is closer than you think.